guys, today I'm doing a video all about my pre-holiday cut. I know I shared quite a bit on Instagram about what I was doing, and I promised to do a more detailed video for you guys on exactly what I did to lose an extra couple of kilos before my Europe summer holiday, which is now unfortunately all over, and I'm back in a very cold Joburg. If you do hear like a buzzing sound, it's because my fan is here. It like follows me everywhere around the house because it's pretty chilly. But I also wanted to show off my cute Cotton On body gear, so I thought if I just have my heater, I'll be all good. So basically, let me explain what a cut is and who this video is for. Specifically, perhaps if you are trying to lose those last couple of kilos and perhaps you have an event coming up, perhaps you have a holiday coming up, and you have a few, kind of like that last layer that you really want to get rid of before you go on holiday or before a big event. So basically, you would do a cut if you have a couple of kilos that you want to lose. So I wanted to share with you guys what I did before my holiday. And in my next video, after this one, I actually will take you through what I do on holiday to stay lean, because I think a lot of people, if they could maybe push themselves to diet before holiday, get really lean, and on day 2 they feel terrible again. So I wanted to share some hacks with you on that as well. But in this video, I basically just want to cover what I did in my pre-holiday prep to really lose. I think I lost about 3% body fat in about 8 weeks. So I just want to take you through a couple of basics, and hopefully if you have a couple of kilos to lose or you've been thinking about doing a cut, then this video will help you. And if this is the first video of mine that you're ever watching, my name is Angie. I'm founder of the Lean Girl brand, and I'm super passionate about helping women just like you to reach your lean body goals. I have always struggled with my weight. I've always been up and down. I've always been on that yo-yo binge diet cycle, and so thankfully out of that I really had an incredible transformation of my own, and that kind of led me to my passion of helping women to also reach their lean body goals and really learn about the science. I'm a qualified nutritionist, really learn about the science of nutrition and our bodies and how it works and how we can move away from the unhealthy habits and rather move towards predictable results and building bodies that we all love to live in. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. Okay, so what is a cut? It's basically losing a couple of extra percentage body fat in a shorter period of time. So normally what people do is they'll do cycles, right? So they'll do bulking and cutting cycles. Why this has to be done this way is because it's very difficult to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, because the nutrition strategy for optimal muscle building is very different to one of trying to lose fat. So although if you do just start working out, you can sort of build a little bit of muscle while losing fat, but over time it's really not an effective strategy to do either. So when we're talking about doing a cut, we're talking about losing body fat. That is the main goal of a cut. And so I want to share with you a couple of the strategies that I used now over the last 8 weeks, which really helped. And of course I'll share the results with you at the end of this video as well. And I'll give you a nice summary that you can also take and hopefully refer back to when it's time for you to try and do, if you would like to do a cut. So there are a couple of things that I will cover in this video. The first one will be nutrition. Of course, that is a huge part when it comes to losing fat, the main part, of course. Number 2, I'll talk about the type of exercise that I was doing and the type of exercise that helped me to get to my goals. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about mindset and accountability, which was also a huge factor in me being able to actually reach my goals. So that is just the video in a nutshell. If I'm looking down here, it's actually because I have notes. So I wrote down what I wanted to share with you guys so that I didn't miss out anything. So if I am looking down here every now and again in the video, please forgive me. It's because I don't want to miss anything out, and I want to make sure that I share all of the important details with you guys. So the number one thing that I think definitely played the biggest role in me getting the results that I did was being as accurate as possible. That is, in terms of my nutrition, was 100% on point. Pretty much every single day for 8 weeks. So that doesn't look like, Monday to Friday eating really well and then on the weekend I would slack. Every single day I 100% tracked all my food, I measured all my food, the more accurate you really can be with both nutrition and exercise. And in terms of exercise, that means, making sure you do every single exercise properly, make sure that you're pushing yourself in the gym, making sure that you're, reaching all of your exercise goals. The more you do that, you have to just take each day at a time and make sure that every single day you're doing all the things. It doesn't help to just go to the gym but your nutrition is off. It doesn't help to have your nutrition but your exercise. You have to do it all. There's a huge misconception that people think that fat loss is fast. And if you are doing everything right, you can lose a maximum of 100 grams of fat every single day. And so that's not a lot, guys. Gone are the days, especially when you only have a couple of kilos to lose, that people think you can lose 1 to 2 kilos, boom, every single week. It just doesn't happen like that. And that is a number that, has been sticking in our heads. But most of the time, if you're losing fat at a faster rate, then unfortunately you're losing not only fat, but you're losing precious muscle, which at the end of the day, you're gonna be skinny fat, which means that you look flabbier than you were before. The number may be less on the scale, but you don't look any better. I'm sure that that's something that maybe has happened to you, because it definitely has happened to me. I get on the scale, I'm like, woohoo, I lost a kilo, and when I look in the mirror, I'm like, I still look saggy. So that's one thing. So you actually don't want to lose fat too fast or weight too fast, because at the end of the day, it won't actually be all fat, but rather water, muscle, and fat in combination. So the goal in a cut is to really maintain as much muscle as possible, and then at the same time, obviously lose as much fat as possible, and the combination of those two is going to get you the best results. So the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously the nutrition side. So when it comes to nutrition, the only way to predictably lose fat is to get your body into a calorie deficit. That means that you are consuming less energy in than you're putting out. It's really that simple. I did not cut out carbs, I did not cut out fats, I did not limit anything. I basically just know what my personal budget is for energy, how much I'm expending every single day. And then I was very precisely, accurately tracking how much I was putting in. And let me tell you that many times before, for weeks, I thought I was in a calorie deficit, but because I wasn't tracking 100% accurately, I wasn't getting any results. But the moment I got absolutely accurate, and I want to share some tips on how to become more accurate with your calorie tracking, I really started seeing predictable results, as the science says we do. So if you really want to, do a cut and you're really serious about it, of course it takes a bit more effort, and it takes a little, you can't be as flexible as you would if you're trying to lose fat over a longer period of time. And what I mean by that is, you do need to be eating more meals at home, where you are going to be controlling what you're putting in the foods. The moment we're going to a restaurant, 10 times a week, we actually don't know what sauces they're using, how much oil they're using, all the extras that we just, are these hidden calories. And, we're in the back of our mind thinking, shit, but I am in a calorie deficit, where if you actually work it out, it's probably not. So that is one thing that I did, right? I got really accurate with my calorie tracking, and that was a combination of meal planning. So I actually work out exactly how many calories I should be having, and then I plan out meal options so that I don't have to work out every single day over and over, what am I going to eat. So I have 3 or 4 different meal variation options, which include my protein, my carbs, and my fats in every single meal. That's obviously according to my personal calorie budget, which will be different to yours. The next thing that I then do is, even once I have a meal plan, is I also then track my calories, just to be 100% accurate and to make sure that what is on my meal plan and what I'm putting in MyFitnessPal are all meeting out. And if there are any little extra things, that I am still tracking that. So at the end of the day, I know 100% I'm in a calorie deficit. Now, I do want to say at this point that you do not want to drop your calories too low when you're doing a cut. The real goal is to eat as much food as possible, so to keep your calories as high as possible while still getting a result. Why? Because number one, if you drop your calories too low, you're going to get extremely hungry, and it's going to be very difficult to stay within that calorie budget. So rather keep your calories a little bit higher, but adhere to that plan really well. And the second problem is once you do cut your calories that low, our bodies are incredible at adapting, which means that it's going to slowly but surely adapt to having less calories. And if your calories are really low, you have nowhere else to go. So what happens when your results slow down, which will happen over a couple of weeks, you actually have no calories to play with, so you can't do a second drop in your calories, which sometimes is necessary when you're doing a cut. So what you want to do is keep your calories as high as possible, which will also obviously help with the hunger. Now, of course, when you're dropping your calories, you can expect to be a little bit more hungry than you were at a higher calorie level. And so some tips that I wanted to share on how to keep hunger at bay, and a couple of things that I did during my cut, was number one, I do intermittent fasting. So that means that I only eat from 12 until 8 p.m. I'm not too strict with the evening, but I do eat pretty early. But basically just having a shorter period of time that you're eating within. And so once I start eating at 12, I pretty much am never hungry up until 8 o'clock, because my meals are kind of shortly spaced between each other. So I personally eat at 12, 3, 5, and 7. And so I don't really have too much time to get hungry in between meals. Whereas if I was eating, say, from the morning, so say I had breakfast at maybe 8 o'clock, then I was eating at 12, then the time is really spaced out and my meals are spaced out, which you would get hungrier. And that's actually something that I've learned on holiday too, which I will share with you in my next video about, when your meals are too far apart, it just leaves more room to get super hungry. So that's something that I enjoy doing. Some people just cannot think of not having breakfast, and that's totally okay. But otherwise, intermittent fasting is great. I always say that I basically just diet for a couple of hours in the morning, and then I'm pretty much set for the whole day and I can enjoy all of my meals. This brings me to number two. To point number two on how to stay full and not get too hungry is that I eat bigger meals. So I do not believe in eating like 6 tiny meals a day. I've tried this before, and basically every single meal does nothing for me. So I prefer to eat bigger meals that will keep me fuller for a lot longer. So I feel like when I snack, I'll have like one small snack, and because I'm not satisfied with this, I'll just continue thinking about food. I don't know if that happens to you, but so if I eat a bigger meal, I can kind of, my hunger's at bay, and I can just carry on with my work or whatever it is that I'm doing, and I know my next meal time is at whatever, and that's the only next time that I'll eat. Instead of thinking, oh, I'll have a little bit of this, and then you're thinking about food again, and then you'll have a little bit of that, and none of the calories actually fill you because it's not a substantial meal, but you're using up all of your calories really quickly. So that's a tip that I have. And then another one is that I do have set meal times, which actually help. So you're not just thinking, oh, am I hungry now? Am I bored? Maybe I should eat something now. And you have set meal times that you only eat at those times. And outside of that, you're just saving all your calories for your meals. Otherwise, as I said, with the snacking, you can really just waste up calories, and they're not going towards filling you up. Another one is obviously to eat high volume foods, which I do all the time because I have a huge appetite, believe it or not. I love huge meals, so I always make a ton of low calorie vegetables. That could be pumpkin, that could be baby marrows, broccoli, whatever it is, and I make like a huge lot because it's super low in calories. You can actually eat so much and stay pretty full. Another one is like oatmeal. You can make a huge bowl with lots of strawberries in it. So the whole thing is you really don't want to go hungry, which leads me to my last point, is that you should not wait until you are really starving to eat your meals, because that is just a recipe for disaster. Like, I don't know if you relate to this, but sometimes if I'm so hungry, it feels like no matter how much I eat, like nothing can fill me. And so when you get to that point in hunger, your discipline and willpower also goes out the window. So don't wait too long, and rather try and prep and plan your meals so that you're eating at regular intervals where you're not feeling extremely hungry, where you become like a rabid dog. You need to eat so much. So that is another tip. And then something else that I wanted to share with you was, of course, you need to be including protein in every single meal. So in those 4 meals that I have a portion of protein in each, which helps me to reach my 2 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight. every single day. So that is also vital in maintaining that muscle mass, because remember, that's something that we need to do when we're doing the cut. That's really important. We don't want to lose that muscle that we've built up. And then the balance of your calories would obviously be taken up by carbs and fats. And when you do drop your calories down low, it is important for women specifically to keep those fats high as well. So you don't want to drop the fats down too low. You want to have nice balanced macro meals, which include protein, carbs, and fats. And as I said, almost all of my meals, I would say 95% of my meals, I did try and cook at home or prep if I was going out anywhere. I did eat at restaurants every now and again, but what I always do in restaurants, even when I'm not doing a cut, is I really go for simple foods where I can very clearly see what is in the meal. So if it is a chicken breast, I can see that there's no sauce on it, there's no extra oil, there's nothing. Another really good one is like eggs on toast. You can't go too wrong. So I go for really simple. It can just be, protein and vegetables or salad or sweet potato, as long as they're not making them into fries and using lots of oil. So that is a restaurant tip. If you do need to eat out, or you have an event or a function, you of course can still get away with it in one meal. It's definitely not going to kill you. But remember, the more you cook at home and the more you are preparing your food and using foods that you know exactly what's going in, the more accurate your calorie tracking is going to be. And then another really important one that I think really helped me with this cut was that I really make foods that I love. I don't eat anything that tastes terrible. I love cooking my meals with tons of spices, with lots of low-calorie sauces. I eat peanut butter, I eat strawberries, I eat just all delicious things in every single one of my meals. I really look forward to, so I don't feel like I'm on a diet. I always say to people, you don't need willpower to eat foods that you enjoy. And that's a big problem when it comes to dieting. People eat these crazy meal plans that just taste horrific. And, by the time lunchtime comes around, you're dreading getting that container out with your dry chicken and broccoli. And it really doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to eat high-calorie food just for food to be tasty. I use a ton of spices. I use those Walden's Farms. It's got almost 0 calories to put on my chicken. I use different marinades. I use lots of spices. And I really think that is so vital in helping you to stick to your meal plan, is when you look forward to your meals and you really love the meals that you're eating. So the nutrition side of the cut, in a nutshell, is number one, ensure that you're in a calorie deficit. Okay, so you need to know what your magic numbers are for fat loss, what is your personal calorie budget, and then you need to stick within that. How are you going to stick within that? You're going to be super accurate on creating a meal plan and then tracking your calories as well. You're going to eat high volume foods to make sure that they fill you up. You can also try intermittent fasting so that you're having less time to eat within. You are then going to make sure that you're having protein in every single meal. And then what are the last things? And make sure that you really love the food that you're eating. That is really going to help you. And then of course, don't allow yourself to get too hungry. Okay, so moving on to workouts now. So workouts are, a part of it for sure, but the nutrition is really 80% of the work done. So if you can get that down pat, you're pretty much on your way. And then of course the exercise is just going to be that extra little kick to help you get the results that you're looking for in your cut. So here are the things that I did for exercise during my cut. Number one, the first thing that I did was I upped my steps to 10,000 every single day. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I sit in front of my computer pretty much all day, every day, besides if I'm going to gym or perhaps doing some errands or whatever. And so especially in South Africa, if you're from South Africa, we really don't walk half as much as we should. And so something that I did do was I got myself a Fitbit, and I have been religiously tracking my steps every single day to make sure that I got about 10K. I did track it when I was not walking on the treadmill, and I was only getting about 4,000 to 5,000 steps a day, which is really not enough for the average person. And so what I added in was, before my workout, I did a low intensity cardio walk on the treadmill every single morning. And depending on what my day looked like and I knew how active I would be, I would either walk for longer or for shorter. So some days maybe it was 25 minutes, other days it went up to 45 minutes if I had extra time. I love listening to podcasts on the treadmill, and so if I had some extra time, I would make sure to get those 10,000 steps in. So that is a great way to just up your activity level, which is going to help you to increase your overall calorie burn, and that is obviously going to help you to lose extra fat. So that was the first thing I did. The second thing that I did in terms of training was I really lifted as heavy as possible. So I got a great weight training program, and I really pushed myself every single day. I did weight training 5 days a week, and with every single workout I made sure that I was pushing myself to my limits. I was so stiff over the 8 weeks, and also not eating as much calories as I was before, and your energy can dip a little bit, but I just made sure that I just took every single workout day by day. And you know, a lot of people think, oh, when I'm trying to cut, I must do a lot of cardio, and that actually is the wrong thing to do, because doing weight training is what's going to help you to maintain that muscle while you're doing the cut, so that when you do lose the fat, you still have that lean hard muscle underneath, which gives you that round, firm appearance that we're actually all after. You know, if you just do cardio, you're basically just going to be a saggier, sadder version of your previous self once you've lost the fat, because you're losing fat and you're losing muscle. So the weight training is vital when you're doing a cut. And my weight training really includes very simple core exercises, core not as in abs, but core as in the main exercises. It's not about the little leg kicks or the jumping squats, it's deadlifts, it's squats, it's pull-ups. It's like really intense exercises that are using your main muscle groups. So, you know, it's just forget the fluff with the little bands. You need to lift heavy, and you need to focus on those core exercises. And another thing that I also do is I do track what weights I'm using, so that I can make sure that in every weight session I can try my best to say, okay, what weights was I doing before, and can I potentially increase that? Because often if we're doing a lot of different exercises, we actually lose track on what weight we were using, and sometimes we're a little bit soft on ourselves, our energy is feeling low, and we opt for a lower weight when we actually should be increasing those. So very important to do your weight training, get your 10,000 steps in, and make sure that you're pushing yourself in every single workout. Now lastly, I want to talk about mindset and accountability. So during my cut, because you know that it's only a short period of time, it is a lot easier than thinking, oh my word, I have to do this forever. But saying that, I really didn't find it too difficult, because as I said, I really enjoyed my meals. I didn't feel too hungry, and maybe there were 1 or 2 days where I was craving some chocolate, and I was like, oh, you know, should I just say screw it and go over my calories? But knowing that it was for a short period, I also always do a photo shoot if I do some type of cut, so that was also something that I was really working towards. So I had a goal in mind, and I just kept focused on that. So knowing that it is for a short period, if you do want to do a cut, just keep your eye on the prize and say, you know, this is not forever, I can keep going. And that's a good one for mindset, you know, to just to have that goal, have that date that you're focusing on, and then know that after that you can be a little bit more flexible and relax a little bit. Now, one thing that I also did during the cut was I did use a coach. And accountability for me, I'm quite a disciplined person, and when I set my mind to do something, I'm pretty good at following through, especially when it comes to nutrition and exercise and body goals. And so I really have, you know, some core habits that I've developed over the last couple of years that have helped me. So, you know, I go to gym regularly, I already cook really healthy foods, I've already got all of those base habits in place. And so the accountability factor for me was just to give you that extra edge. And research has shown when you have someone that you're checking in with, other than yourself, and someone else holding you accountable to your goals, you are 90% more likely to reach that goal. You know, sometimes we are very easy to give in to ourselves, and when we don't have anyone else that we're accountable to, it's easy to say, oh, you know, I'll start again tomorrow, or I'll just have this, no one will know, I'll start again on Monday, and we don't have anyone else that we're accountable to and no one else that we need to check in with, then it becomes quite easy to do that. And the problem is that there's been so many times that, you know, we make these promises to ourselves, we don't keep them, and then we start not to trust ourselves. So sometimes having someone else really helps. And so even though I have all the knowledge, I'm a qualified nutritionist, I have all the background, I have all the tools necessary, just having that other person to stay accountable to was definitely a huge factor in helping me stay on track. So in my programs, for example, I do include an accountability element as well, because I do know how powerful this is, just to have someone so that you know in the back of your mind that you're not struggling alone. If there's a question that you have, or if something's not going according to plan, that you have a professional that you can ask, okay, you know, why would this be happening? Or I feel this way, what can I do? You know, you don't have to always struggle on your own. So that is, accountability is a huge plus. As I mentioned just now, what is also really helpful in terms of mindset is to actually have those core habits already in place before you're trying to be more aggressive with your approach. So it's easier for me to do a cut because I already have, as I said, all of those core habits that are already in place. I already cook most of my meals at home. I know how to meal prep. I'm getting myself to the gym every single day. I've got the right mindset. I know all of these things. And so often what happens is people go from zero, or they want to go from zero to hero. So they want to go one day from eating, I don't know, all you can eat buffet, and then they want to go straight into a cut. And that's kind of setting yourself up for failure. So if you are thinking about doing a cut, but you know you're on the other side of the spectrum, I would really recommend to first focusing on those simple core habits that are going to help you first set yourself up and be less aggressive and have a more flexible approach. So get into the rhythm of the core things that you should be doing to lose fat, and then you can get more aggressive in your approach. Another thing, just on tracking progress, if you are going to do a cut, it is important to note that there are definitely fluctuations. And so sometimes you can think that you're doing all the right things, but perhaps, you know, the numbers on the scale bump up, and that is 100% normal, because especially as women, we go through so many fluctuations in a month. That could be from bloating, from, as I said, hormones, salt intake. Different things can cause your weight to go up and down. And so it's really important when you are tracking your progress over your cut to really use different metrics to track your progress. So of course you can use the scale, you should also be measuring, and photos are also vital. So at the end of this video, I'll share some of my photos with you, and you'll see that some of the other factors on the tracking of progress were not actually, there were not huge variants between when I started and when I ended, but you can see a very big difference. So tracking accurately is also really important. So my advice to you, if you are thinking of doing your own cut, is to, number one, build those core habits which are based on the science of getting lean. If you need help with that, I have a program that can help you do that. So I will leave the link in the description of this video, so you can also check out my programs if you need some help on that. And then the next thing that you need to do is obviously to get yourself into that calorie deficit and get as accurate as possible when it comes to your nutrition. So as all the things that I mentioned, to do your meal planning, ensuring that you're cooking at home, eating high volume foods, and of course loving the foods that you're eating and not getting too hungry. Then you need to get in those 10,000 steps in your exercise, and then push really heavy weights, and of course get your mindset right, and extra bonus if you could get someone to hold you accountable. Now, as I said, if you want some help with all the detail on exactly how to roll this out, how to do your own cut, then I do have a program that can help you do that. I will leave it as the link in the description here for you to check out if it's something that you're really interested in and something that you want to try. I do have a step-by-step plan on how you can figure out what your magic numbers are for fat loss, how to create that calorie deficit, of course all the hacks that have helped me to also get the results that I've wanted. And at the end of this video, I will be sharing the results that I managed to achieve over the last 8 weeks in my cut. And please let me know if you like this video. Please hit a like, a share, subscribe to my channel. I hope to be sharing lots of more handy and helpful tips with you. And please remember to check out my next video, where I will be sharing with you what I actually do on holiday to make sure that I don't lose all of my results while still being able to indulge and enjoy myself. So be sure to check out that video as well. And as I said, please comment, like, share, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to answer them. Sending you lots of lean girl love. stay tuned to this video. I'm gonna share with you all of the results right now on screen so that you can see the progress that I managed to make over my 8-week cut.